Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to everybody here in Palazzo Bovara in Milan, everybody who's following us from 67 Pall Mall in London, and everybody who's following us online via the Milano Wine Week platform. I want to take the opportunity to thank Milano Wine Week for organizing this event. It's the second year we're doing these masterclasses. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to talk about our winery, our history, and our wines all together. So the masterclass is called London Calling. This name was chosen for two reasons mainly. Obviously, the first one is linked to the song by The Clash, which is a song everybody in our office likes a lot. But secondly, and most importantly, is because we think that Prosecco in the UK and in London is obviously a very big thing, being the most sold SKU in the country. But we think that now London is calling for a higher quality, a premium type of Prosecco. And this is what we're going to be talking about today and what you're going to be tasting later on. So I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Gianni Zucchetto. I was actually born in London, in the United Kingdom. But then I moved back to Italy, and I've been living in the Prosecco wine region close to Valdobbiadene for most of my life. I've been studying translation, interpreting. I've hopped on and off a few jobs in the wine business, but I landed in Montelvini, where I've been covering different positions for the last 9 years. And now I currently follow sales for North and South America, UK, and Ireland. I'm currently studying to be a sommelier, certified sommelier by FISAR. So I'm in the first and final level. So hopefully next year I'll be an official sommelier. So wish me luck. Together with me today is Davide Zanette, who will introduce himself.
Thanks, Gianni. Very good introduction. Thanks everybody here. Thanks everybody in London. So we are really happy to have you here. My name is Davide Zanette. I'm the Expo Manager in Montelvini. So we are coordinating. I'm working with Gianni, with another guy. We are covering roughly 50 countries. So we are very well operating worldwide. So we are happy about that. Also, our owners are happy about that, of course. And if I have to summarize briefly about me, I will tell you that I do exactly what I love to do, because my background was a technical background. I worked for many years in the industry, and I had I would say the option to transform my passion in a job. So that could be something unbelievable for someone who loves wine. So, of course, I graduated. I worked many years in a multinational company. I'm a little bit older than Gianni, but okay, this is not a problem. I'm certified sommelier FISA. I did many masters in tasting, in service, and other stuff concerning wine environment. And finally, Montelvini gave me the opportunity to come here 5 years ago, and I am in the best place I could do. So I'm happy about that. So just a couple of words about Montelvini, who we are. Here in the picture, you can see Armando, that is the founder. Alberto and Sara are the sons. Actually, Armando led the lead to Montelvini, to the sons. Alberto is responsible for commercial and for marketing. And Sara is responsible for administration and production. Armando founded the company in 1968, so more than 50 years ago, even if the family, Serena, was producing wine since 1881. So it's a very long story, concerning the wine, we have a very long tradition, and all the time was linked to the area where we are. So Montello, Venegazzù, in the area of Asolo di OCG, in the region of Asolo di OCG. And the family has been always involved in promoting and improving the perception of the wine of this area. The mission of the company, and I hope you'll get through the wine tasting, it's to produce wines with the highest standard. Of course, it's not easy, because I think everybody wants to propose wines with higher standards. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes not, but this is definitely our mission. And also the focus of guarantee and sustainability in terms of economy, environmental, and also for the workplace. There are also some other ideas that will be explained through the wine tasting. So Gianni, you can go on, it's your turn.
Okay, so as you understood, Montelvini is a Prosecco DOCG producer. That is our main focus. That's what we've been doing for many years and what we want to be doing for many years in the future. Me and Davide travel a lot around the world. We haven't been traveling so much in the last year and a half, but we're going to start traveling once again. And when we go around to the various wine exhibitions, wine events, we always notice that there's some sort of confusion on Prosecco in general. So when we do these type of presentations, we always like to use 10 minutes just to go through the general characteristics of Prosecco, how it's made, where it comes from, and just a few facts, so everything is clear, and then everybody understands the differences between the various typologies and qualities of wine. So the first thing we're going to look into briefly is the grape. So as you can see from the slide, Prosecco is the name of the wine and not the name of the grape. Until 2009, this was actually quite misleading and confusing because there was not really any legislation that determined these aspects. From 2009, we know that Glera is the grape that is used to make the wine Prosecco. With the two different denominations now in Prosecco, a white Prosecco, the classical Prosecco, we have an 85% of Glera, which is the minimum necessary, with the 15% remaining that can be anything. Obviously, it can be Glera to get to 100%, so have the maximum quality. But it also can be mixed with international and local varieties from the area. Pinot Grigio, Pinot Bianco, Chardonnay, Pereira. While for the Prosecco Rosé, this brand new edition we've had since October of last year, 85% Glera remains the minimum necessary, where the additional 15% instead can be of Pinot Nero. The areas of production of Prosecco, as you can see, we have on the top right side, obviously a map of Italy, where we have a focus on the Veneto region, while on the top left side, you have a zoom in of the area of production of Prosecco DOC. So as you can see, we have two main regions, Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and Veneto. In yellow, you can see the whole of the Friuli Venezia Giulia. So in this area, we can produce Prosecco DOC everywhere in the area. While in Veneto, you can see most of the region is covered, except for two provinces in the south, Verona and Rovigo. So anywhere in that dark yellow area, we can grow Glera grapes to then produce Prosecco DOC. The total area of production is 23,000 hectares of this DOC. We have a specific area, a higher level, which is the slightly darker yellow, which is the DOC Treviso, which is the original province of production. So we're going into the typical area of production. Within this Prosecco DOC Treviso, we have the two premium segments, DOCG Valdobbiadene and DOCG Asolo. DOCG Valdobbiadene, as you can read, is roughly 8,000 hectares, while DOCG Asolo, which is the one we are in, the one we produce, and the one we are proud to represent, is much smaller, much younger. It only has been in existence for roughly 10 years, and it covers 1,700 hectares. On the left, you can see we just put the production of 2020 to give you an idea of the distinction between the various denominations. So as you can see, a total of 612 million bottles, which is impressive as a Prosecco overall. The vast majority is the basic DOC Prosecco, while the other two denominations are much smaller in number. We go into the specific of Asolo Superiore DOCG, which is what we do and what we represent. So we have, obviously, the DOCG grapes from this specific area, which is composed of 19 municipalities. The maximum yield is 135, or let's say 13.5 tons per hectare, and a density of 3,000 wines. So where is this area? Geographically, we are on the left of the River Piave. The River Piave divides the DOCG Valdobbiadene, which is on the right, and the DOCG Asolo, which is on the left-hand side. Montello and Colli Asolani are two separate hills. They are the first height elevation we have from the seaside coming upwards. So it's all flat land from the Adriatic Sea until we reach these two hills. After these two hills, 2 kilometers after, we can find the Alps. So immediately elevation grows to 1,500, 2,000 meters. So literally, this is the last area where we can grow a grape with this specific territory and the specific aromas. The soil composition instead, as you can read, is limestone and iron-rich soil. This gives the wine its acidity that together with the structure that together with the acidity we have due to the temperature excursion of the hills gives the wine the perfect structure to be made into a sparkling Prosecco. We have 4 different categories in which this DOCG Prosecco can be characterized. The DOCG Asolo Prosecco still wine, so with no CO2. This is not very common. The Asolo Prosecco frizzante, that you can usually find with a screw tap or with a string closure, with a maximum pressure of 2.5 bars. The most known and the most distributed spumante, Asolo Prosecco DOCG Spumante Superiore, which is the classical sparkling spumante with the mushroom cork. And finally, the DOCG sui lieviti, which is a surly, so re-fermentation in the bottle, as you would do with any classical method. We leave the yeasts inside the bottle, so the wine is drunk with its typical and characteristic cloudiness. Together with Prosecco, this area is also ideal for the growth of Bordeaux blend red wines and DOC white wines that we're going to see later on in the presentation. Okay, so yeah, this was just the overall introduction we wanted to do, and now we'll move into the wine tasting.
Super, Gianni. Thanks so much. So I think we can start to open the bottle and to be ready for the service. I want to first introduce the first reference we are going to taste in a couple of minutes. So we are talking about a novelty about Montelvini. This is our top premium wine, and we just released this year at June 2021. It's really particular because this is, first of all, the name, so Montelvini FM 333 Asolo Prosecco DOCG Superiore Brut 2020, vintage 2020. What about the name? FM means Fontana Mazorin. This is the name of our estate, our vineyard. In fact, in the region of Asolo, this is the first Asolo Prosecco Superiore produced by a single vineyard. We are talking about roughly 1 hectare, something less. And in total, we produced, of course, limited edition, limited production. We produced 3,333, sorry, we are playing with the 3, cases of 4 bottles. Also, the packaging is quite unusual because normally 6 or even 3. We did 4. It's quite unusual, but really, really nice, unexpected, but curious. So we did realize a very interesting packaging to attract the people before the tasting, something that is eye-catching, right? So, single estate, Fontana Mazorin, 333 means 333 meters above the sea level. So this is more or less the highest altitude of Montello Hill. Montello is really a particular place because the soil is practically red colored. That means it's full of mineral elements. And this aspect you'll find in the wine because the minerality and the sapidity of the soil will be then transmitted to the wine. Another important part concerning this wine is related to the wine-making process. Normally, a Charmat method becomes in 2 steps. So first you realize the still wine, and in a second step, through the tank under pressure, you realize the sparkling wine, adding sugar and selected yeast. In this case, it's not a super innovation, but who is producing excellent sparkling wine are adopted this method. We produce the wine with a single fermentation directly from the mast. This, of course, is a process that we need to be really careful, but this is also the way to extract as much as we can the aromas, and we can give to the wine much more complexity and elegance. In fact, we hope that the wine will match these original targets we had. Last but not least, talking about sustainability, the labels are made, or partly, the labels are made with grape seeds. So we want to not only to say things about our mission, but also to respect what we are proposing to do. So let's jump now to the wine tasting. Let me just refresh them. About the color. You know, I'm also sommelier, so I'm using a method when I'm tasting a wine. So we follow the 3 official steps in order to approach a wine. First, the visual analysis, then the olfactory analysis, and finally the taste. And at the end, we can conclude with the final conclusion and to verify if what in all the 3 steps, the wine is consistent and there is a regular or a fil rouge according what we are presenting. So the color of the wine. The color is absolutely bright. It's a straw yellow. We can see also some greenish nuances. So this is quite usual because we are harvesting quite in time in order to have a correct acidity. So we are expecting not to have a very intense yellow color, straw color, but a little bit lighter with some greenish nuance as the wine is actually. The bubbles are very small, fine, persistent. You know, it's, I think, as a sparkling wine producer, the bubble is the most important way to transmit emotions through the wine. We know that smaller are the bubble and means that better it has been done the winemaking process. I imagine, no, I'm joking with myself, and sometimes I say I have to be attracted, like hypnotically attracted by a sparkling wine, the dance of the bubble, and this should be the idea when I'm approaching a sparkling wine. This is, you know, this is depending also a lot of the type of glass, of course, but this is the idea also of the winemaking. So it's nice, correct color. The bubble is fine, it's persistent. Let's go through the taste of the nose. Well, first of all, the wine is really elegant. It has a nice fragrance. So I think that when we are approaching a wine, we have to first see the macro elements. So the wine is absolutely joyful and pleasant, and we can go a little bit deeper. So we can find some delicious aromatic touches like apple, golden apple, that is really typical in the Glera grape, but also William pear. Some freshly cut grass, a little bit, not so arrogant. And also some floral hints like wisteria and acacia that are also typical in the Glera grape when it's well developed. I think we can taste. Wow. The wine is on the palate is intense, is mineral, you know. Remember when I'm talking the soil, the iron elements you have in this estate, you can feel it, right? So the wine is mineral. You have a nice acidity. The wine is lively. So it's when I tasted first time, I had the impression to have a 3D wine, you know. It seems very simple, maybe at the beginning, but then it's expanding in the mouth in a very long taste experience, and it's very crispy, it's very tasty. It's covering all the volume of your mouth, and but without losing the elegance and the fragrance. I'm finding this is again very consistent what we got from the nose. So the golden apple, the pear, the floral hints, again maybe a little bit aromas of papaya and pineapple. The wine at the end, as conclusion, I believe is really well balanced. I mean, he has, as you see, this is a brut, so he has 9 grams sugar liter. It is dry, but not so dry, and all the elements, soft element and hard elements, are living together, are well uniform together. And reaching up, I don't want to say perfect because nothing is perfect, but a correct equilibrium on the wine. I'm finding really interesting because of this 3D dimension in the mouth especially, that is giving not only the taste but also the persistence and the minerality that is the main element of our estate. We can pair easily with raw fish, with steamed fish or Mediterranean fish. Of course, this is not only for aperitif, so let's move on. I please you do not classify the Prosecco just for aperitif. A wine like this can easily pair with a dinner, with a complete meal. Of course, we have to pair it correctly, but I think it has the structure to support many dishes, and this is absolutely nice. I don't know if you have any question about the first. No, thank you. We go on. Yes, please.
Prosecco.
Any residual sugar? Yeah, you know, we are in Asolo, we are the first, we introduced the extra brut version. But this, you know, Glera, it is not a very strong grape. I mean, it needs a little bit sugar in order to have a little bit volume. Otherwise, the risk is to be too thin, right? So we have to play with the sugar. Of course, the trend is to be drier and drier and drier. That's the trend. Normally, beginners like the sugar because it's easy to recognize and make the palate satisfied, even if the wine is not so good. So, of course, we don't want to make up the wine, but we want to do the opposite. So the trend is absolutely to decrease the sugar, but you need a little bit in order to have a little bit of structure, just for that. Possiamo iniziare col secondo vino, col servizio. So we can start with the second wine. We are introducing a different color to the first. So we are going to rosé. Rosé is absolutely a trend, you know. It started with the rosé of Provence that at the beginning were wines just for France or just for very few fans of rosé. Now it's definitely a third color of a fourth color because there is also the orange, not to forget. And the Prosecco DOC Consortium understood and catched this opportunity to introduce a new version first to capture new potential customer, but second also to improve the perception of Prosecco that sometimes is not so good for many reasons, and I want to explain right now. This is Montelvini Serenitatis Collection, Prosecco DOC Treviso Rosé Brut, Vintage 2020. So it has been released for the first time in May 2021, even if a Prosecco Rosé, it has been released almost 6 months before, right, in October 2020. It has been considered for us a premium wine. Why? Because the singularity of being DOC Treviso. So it's a limited area. For the Glera is not a problem, of course, because Treviso is the kingdom of Glera. The problem was a Pinot Nero, the Pinot Noir. Of course, Pinot Noir is one of the grapes that is contributing to sparkling wine in its white dress, of course, but was not easy to find correct quality of the grape to produce this wine. In fact, we are producing also here in limited quantity because we want to not to play with the volume, but to play with the characteristic of the wine and to let the people enjoy the wine for itself and not because it's written Prosecco Rosé. It's a blend of Glera, 85%, and Pinot Noir, 15%. The wine is aging on the lees 70 days, so it's quite a long Charmat because we want to make a perfect matching between Glera and Pinot Noir and leaving the correct period to extract the aroma, especially from Pinot Noir that is just in 15%. We have an updated packaging, so the box, in this case, is 6 bottles per box. It's a funny pink rosé color, so it's absolutely, you can recognize from long distance. It's absolutely nice. And we have the POS material adapted for this reference. I mean, white glass branded, and also the single box for a gift or for a special occasion. So we created something around the wine because I think it was worth to do. So we can go through the tasting. Again, visual analysis. The color is a shining pale rosé, reminding peach and rose flower. You know, with Prosecco DOC Consortium, it has been done, I would say, a selection of the color. They do not want to offer in the world a different palette of colors, too different one to the other. So this is the color we decided, I mean, producer and Prosecco Consortium, we decided this is the correct color. Of course, there are a little bit tolerance according to the season, according the winemaking process of every winery, but this is absolutely the elegance in terms of color we want to reach. Also here the perlage, you can see, is really fine, is persistent. I would like to remember not to trill the glass when you have bubble inside, because our winemaker did a lot of effort to do it. So if you are twirling, you are destroying his job in a few seconds. So we can do, but I prefer not to do. So bubbles are small, fine. That means, of course, as I said before, a very careful foaming process. Let's go on the olfactory analysis. Also here, before to go through the different aromas or sensation, we need to have an idea, a general idea of the wine before to go through. We cannot say, there is this aroma or that aroma. So I think also in this case, the wine is elegant. The aromas are fine. The quality is nice. So I'm invited to go further and to look for the different aromas inside the glass. Otherwise, if the wine is not attracting at the first step, you lose your interest and maybe you drink another wine or water. So the first step in terms of approach with your nose should be correct. Otherwise, you're not willing to go further. So what about the notes? So we can perceive two different kind of aromas. What is bringing the glera? So the apple, the white flowers, also peach. But then, definitely, there is the contribution of Pinot Noir, and that's what we exactly wanted. So not the Pinot Noir is covering with his aromas the rest of glera aromas, but just to live together. So subsequently to the aroma of the glera, we can feel and we can perceive the contribution of Pinot Noir in terms of small red fruits. Like cherry first. And then something like black currants. Of course, the Prosecco is never a wine that is crying, so it's really soft in terms of aroma perception. So we need to be really focused and trying to keep one by one with this low intensity all the aspect of the wine. Let's go through the tasting itself. Here is a brut. Instead of FM323 that has 9 grams sugar, here we have 10. It's just 1 gram more, but you can feel the wine is a little bit, I don't want to say sweeter. I want to say softer. Wine is creamy, absolutely creamy, fresh, again, with a long persistence. So that's the way, according to me, not because I'm selling, but that's the way to produce a correct sparkling wine. So to have the elegance, the aromas, but with this nice persistence. Of course, this is not a muscle man, okay? This is not, I would say, a Nebbiolo or Sangiovese that is larger and larger and larger. Glera is thin, so it's very agile. But in order to be pleaseful, it needs, obviously, to have all the elements in accordance. So to be so long and so pleaseful means that acidity is correct level, the minerality is correct level, and you can feel there are no obstacles. So the tasting is absolutely like a circle in the mouth. Very good. I love it. I'm not a fan of rosé, I tell you. I'm really a wine lover. I'm spending more than my salary every year for the wines. I'm really addicted. I think my wife will leave me soon, but this is another problem I will not discuss today. And I'm not a fan of sparkling rosé, to be honest, because my mother was French, and she transmitted to me the passion for French wines. And of course, in the south of France, in Provence, you can find fantastic, not in the past, actually there are some fantastic rosé, still, of course. And about sparkling, you know, it's something that has to be created, because in Champagne it's a very small percentage. In the rest of the world, it's not so developed. But with this, again, not because I'm selling, in this I'm finding really interesting. I'm drinking not only as aperitif, but I'm also daring with some pairing that is not common with Prosecco, because according to the color, maybe some pasta, if you have some ingredients like meat, where the white is a little bit weak, and then we can put the rosé. Rosé has his own life, his own attitude, and his own pairing according to the dishes you want to propose. So I think it makes sense to have it, and to also for the restaurants to propose as pairing with some dishes where the white wines are suffering a little bit, so where the dish is covering a little bit more the wine. That's all for the second wine. If you have no question, we move on. Potete servire il terzo vino. So we can go to the third wine, and Montelvini, it's of course recognized for his sparkling wines. And we are proud, of course, to present these two. But he has also a small production of still wine, always in the area of Montello, in our estate called Fontana Majorin. This is the fact, so we are actually talking about Montelvini, Suiter Bianco, Incrocio Manzoni, DOC 2019. So again, it's a small production. We are talking about roughly 2 hectares, in the same characteristic of the soil where FM 333 is growth. So rich of iron elements, sapidity, and structure. So this is the best place where we could grow the Manzoni Bianco. Manzoni Bianco is really a particular grape. So it's a super autochthonous grape in Treviso province. Manzoni is the name of Professor Manzoni. It was director of the enological school in Conegliano. In the 30s, he did a cross hybridization between Riesling, Renano, and Pinot Bianco. He wanted to have in his province a wine that had the minerality, the freshness of a Riesling, and the structure and the potential way to age like a Pinot Blanc, so structure and also white aromas. He did it, and Manzoni Bianco is not only present in Veneto region, but also in closer region to Veneto, but definitely Treviso, it's the area where this grape is born. It's a limited production. Suiter, that is the name of this small collection, means in our slang, the land of the house. Because these small birds are really typical in our vineyard, are bringing mystery and lucky, and for that, it's the logo of our company since a long time. Last but not least, the label represents a map of the historical roads on the 2 slopes of Montello Hill. So I'm inviting you to walk, or if you are a cyclist, I dare you to climb the Montello Hill, because you have some slopes that are really difficult. But it's absolutely nice, and this is representing the ancient map. So, this is a 2019. Why? Because as I explained at the beginning, the idea of Professor Manzoni was to have a white wine able to age. So it's not typical in our area, it's unusual in our area, to have a white wine that can be presented in the market a little bit later. So we as Montelvini, we wanted first to produce it in the right way and to keep it a little bit longer in the bottle for aging, for maturation, because we think that Manzoni Bianco can do that. So, as a color, of course, we have no bubble here. The wine is straw colored, and again with some green highlights, even if we are talking about 2019, sorry. So the wine is transparent, and this has his own elegant presence, and we are invited to approach the nose on it. So let's go. Here we can twirl. Basically, Manzoni Bianco is bringing aromas that are not truly typical in our area, so not so green and fresh, but much more on tropical fruits. In fact, you can feel like papaya, like pineapple. I'm finding a bit of, I'm joking, like ace juice, I don't know, multivitamin juice. But just to remind that it's the notes we can feel in this wine are much more on the tropical rather than our typical fruits. That's a bit unusual, but you know, we are matching two singular and extreme grapes because it's true that Manzoni is itself, but the parents are, one of the Riesling and the other is Pinot Blanc, so they have different extreme characteristics, and here you can match, you can feel the match of two. You can feel also a little bit of minerality, maybe in the mouth will be much more visible, the idea. The wine is absolutely attractive. Let's go on the taste. Also in the mouth, you know, the wine has his own structure. It's dry because it has just 2 grams sugar liter. You can feel the flavor, the original flavor we got at the nose, but also the minerality. The wine is soft, but at the end with a long persistence, with a nice persistence. You can feel it in the mouth after different seconds. It's not arrogant, it's not sharpy, it's round, and is covering the mouth through the time with a very nice elegance and a nice fragrance. It's not so common in our area to have this kind of wine. Normally are fresher, shorter. And this is, if I'm tasting blindly the wine, maybe I'm not catching that this is wine from Montello or from Treviso province. Maybe I'm going somewhere else. Not there. So respect to our winemaker that did this. Of course, this is like, I mean, this we are talking about a small quantity, roughly 6,000-7,000 bottles per year, and the wine that owners loves to do, because this is the link with their territory, the link with the promise they did, especially the sons, when they decided to take the company from his father. About pairing, I'm actually quite hungry, so I'm dreaming risotto with fish, because I love fish, and this is an idea as pairing with some pasta and fish, or risotto with fish, even with appetizer. I would stay not with the sharpie sensation in terms of dishes, but soft, so pasta, risotto, and maybe some white meat. I will not go further. So the wine, it's elegant, but with medium intensity. So if you are pairing not correctly, the risk is to to suffer against the dishes you are proposing. So, this is the third wine. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, it's not my problem. No, I'm joking, sorry. Of course, you know that tasting, the wine tasting, there are steps that are objective, you know. That's why I became sommelier, and most of the people, most of you are becoming sommelier wine taster, because we need to adopt an objective and not a subjective method to taste the wine. But then you have your own taste, and this is not I cannot control, so everyone has his own taste. So I hope, without joking, that you enjoyed. I'm passing the ball again to Gianni. We'll explain just a couple of slides before to conclude. And okay, go Gianni.
Okay, thank you, Davide, for the excellent tasting. I would definitely want to buy a few cases of the wines now, if I were you. So we're going to talk, just to summarize and to close up. We've talked about who we are, what we do, where we're from, the wines we make. Just to give you an idea, an overall idea of the company, of the dimension of the company, and more or less what we're doing and what you like to do. So start over with some turnover of the company. 2020, we closed at a 20 million euro turnover. Montelvini is a medium-sized company in the Prosecco business. 20 million euro obviously was a huge decrease from the previous year, and that is obviously due to COVID-19. As a company, we focused nearly exclusively on the on-trade market, so consequently 2020 was a very negative year for us. However, 2021, except for the first few months, has picked up very well, and probably looking at the current figures, we'll probably finish 2021 on the same level as 2019. That means we managed to completely recover what we lost in the meantime. Of this turnover, 30% goes abroad, so is for export. The remaining 70% is in the Italian market. This 30% has been growing constantly in the last years. The company has invested a lot in trying to improve and develop export. We've passed from 10% to 30% in probably 3-4 years. And things continually are going well, so everybody is hoping to increase this number in the following years. So, as you probably understood from Davide's explanation, we own 35 hectares of vineyards in the Asolo, Montello, and Colli Asolani, from which we produce these 3 wines, but also all the premium selection we have within Montelvini. As you see below, the number of bottles we produce is around 6 million, so obviously we purchase grapes from local producers. So each September we have nearly 250 wine growers from the local area coming to the winery and delivering grapes. One thing we want to focus on and we want to emphasize is that we buy grapes, we don't buy wine. So all the winemaking procedure is made within the company, following the same techniques we use for the premium side of the wines we produce. So we do buy grapes, but everything is done and controlled by our winemakers and done within the Montelvini facility in Volpago del Montello. So you see 6 million bottles, of which half of them are of our Prosecco, general Prosecco, and then 450,000 go into the premium Asolo DOCG selections. Obviously, as I was saying, we're focused towards the future, so we're always looking to increase, develop, and get everybody to know Montelvini and the wines we are proud to produce and to distribute. So we're always updating our portfolio. Today you tasted 2 wines that are actually brand new because both of them were released this spring, the first and the second one. But this, we never stop. So at the end of the year, with 2022, we'll be releasing a new retail range, exclusive for the retail market. In addition to that, we have a few different projects of which we talked about before in different masterclasses. The main one is called Rediscovered Vineyard. And a summary of it is that in Asolo, which is a beautiful medieval town close to our winery, which is actually was named one of the most beautiful towns in Italy. Our owner found an abandoned vineyard, very small, 0.3 hectares, that was abandoned since the 1970s. It's in a beautiful place. It's in the dead center of the town, surrounded by historical monuments and historical buildings. So in 2018, we bought the property. We started a project of redevelopment of the vineyard. We checked the genome of the grapes themselves. We doubled them in a lab. So we planted a new vineyard. So we have an autochthonous Glera grape from the Asolo territory. It was planted in 2019. So technically, if everything goes as planned, next harvest, we will have the first and only Prosecco DOCG Asolo grown and harvested in the center of the Asolo town, in the dead center of the Asolo DOCG. So that will be something amazing, something we're looking forward to a lot. It's been a long project, so hopefully everything turns out well. And this obviously is to continue to emphasize the Asolo DOCG excellence and the quality this area can give to Prosecco DOCG. Among this, the winery is always developing. We just finished updating a big section of the winery, of the secondary fermentation section of the winery, with temperature-controlled vats. So everything is, we always have the newest technology, and we're always investing in the newest technology to keep everything running smoothly and without any hiccups, especially when we're talking about Prosecco that needs a fairly good amount of technology to be consistent and have the quality it needs to have. A final aspect on UK distribution. So we were, until Brexit, we were imported and distributed by an importer in the north of England, in Manchester, to be precise. With COVID and with all the, with Brexit and with all the problematics that derived from that, the importer decided to stop importing from Europe, but to buy directly from importers in the UK. So we stopped that cooperation. This was at the beginning of this year. So we are currently looking and searching for new business opportunities in the UK. And this is one of the reasons why we decided to do a live streaming with London to see if there could be any interest. Finally, the last slide is about the awards. So these are the awards we received in 2021. So you can see there from all the major international competitions. The most important is the Corona d'Oro, which is the Golden Crown from the Vini Buoni d'Italia, which is one of the highest recognitions you can have in Italy. And we received this with the Asolo Prosecco Superiore DOCG Extra Dry. We're always competing in all these events and trying to get our wines seen and recognized at an international level. So with this, I would say we have finished. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. If there are any questions, we are here for you. And if not, thank you for coming out and tasting Montelvini wines. Okay, we have a question.
We have 2 questions from London. The first one is for the first 2 wines we taste. It's how do you control the bubble size with the winemaker? And the second one is they're asking about the UK price points for trade.
About the first time I'm replying, so of course to control the size of the bubble is it's something really difficult and complicated. This is our know-how. I mean, we have our technical director, the winemaker, is working in Montelvini since roughly 30 years. And, you know, you have to know exactly the procedure how to realize a sparkling wine. This is, I don't want to go through in very technical aspects because I'm not an enologist, but I think it's first the wine you are putting in the tank, second the quality of the yeast, controlling temperature, and then giving the wine the correct time to ferment in the tank. Because sometimes they are producing very fast sparkling wines you can recognize because the bubble is really bigger. So, of course, we are not taking 2 years to produce a Prosecco, but the second fermentation, the period of the second fermentation must be really respected because in that time you are forming the wine. So if you are in hurry, the bubble is big. If you have patience, so we are talking about between 30 and 60 days. It depends on the way or the kind of Prosecco you want to produce. That's the key to produce small bubbles. About the prices, is your job, Gian?
So about the prices, actually these 3 wines we tasted today were never exported to the United Kingdom because all of them are new releases from 2021. So a price for the trade would need to be calculated. Just to give an idea, the first wine, which is the FM 333, in our online shop goes at €12 a bottle. Just to give an idea. Then obviously trade prices for the UK can be discussed in a secondary moment. So yes. Okay, great. So once again, thank you very much. We hope you had a good hour or so, and thank you for coming to our London Calling Masterclass.
Thank you so much.